No! I really gotta get that miter saw bench built. Yes, my miter station is still sitting in the corner on its original manufacturer's stand. It definitely needs a new cabinet. If you've tuned into this video, you're here to see the exciting conclusion of the miter station build as Dan gets up to his typical antics. No, not really. Just part 2 of the miter station build. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, then click somewhere, go to my station channel, you'll find it. You want to watch part 1 first. It's time I get to turn my attention to the drawer fronts and the face frame. Yay, I get to use hardwood again instead of plywood. So what I'm using here is hickory. Hickory's a nice good solid hardwood, and it should look pretty cool, I think. So we're going to cut the pieces to length. I've already done that. Then it's a trip over to the jointer to joint an edge, and back onto the table saw to cut things to width. Now, to complete the machining process for the drawer fronts and also all of the face frame material that I need, back onto the jointer to face one surface and over to the planer to get final thickness completed for all of the components. I encountered a swing clearance issue with the miter saw when I swung it to the left at 45 degrees. So that means that I got to cut a corner of the top layer out to accommodate a 45 degree cut to the left. That didn't work so well. So I really want to finish this cut. But the tension that I released, because I'm cutting this main support board here, has put tension and it's binding up the saw. So, to release that tension, put a wedge in there. This could get a little dangerous. Ah well, let's try. No guts, no glory. No guts, no glory. Part 2. This could get fun too. I like it when a plan comes together. It's white. Opportunity to use my brand new Veritas saws. Ooh. Beautiful. Handy bit of work if I do say so myself. Hey, I got a couple of steps ahead of myself here. We've started on the space frame for the cabinet. I've got the other upper rail in place. That little notch that I cut out there, I've got a little special piece designed for it. So all of the hickory is coming into place here. Guys, I've got the horizontal upper bar rail all marked out to accept our dominoes. So puppy's off having a nap. I can get down here on the floor and start drilling the holes using the Craig pocket hole jig. Clamp held in the right spot. Craig jig bolted in place. One hole. Two hole. And now 87 gazillion more holes to drill. Next up, one of my funnest things to do, drilling the Festool domino sockets in the ends and sides so that I can assemble the face frame. Shop Fairy stayed up late last night. Shop Fairy, also known as my son Connor, and he got one of the face frames installed for me. Good job, Connor. Looked great. So I'm not going to exactly be using traditional method of building the face frame and then installing it on the cabinet itself. I can do this piece by piece because I can do this with the domino system. I'm going to install the upper rail, screwed and glued. So I've cut all of my Craig holes already for the screws. We'll put glue on the faces and screw the vertical pieces. We'll do the top rail first, screw and clamp the vertical rails in, and then do the bottom rail. I know, a little different, but I like doing things a little different. I've gone from goofy shirts to goofy toques. Anyways, we're all glued up with the top rail. I'm going to clamp it in place, and then I'm going to install the Craig jig screws. Clamp. Clamp. Being very careful and cautious not to over tighten my Craig screws. 18 more screws to go. Glue on the domino, glue on the top side of the rail, all spread about nicely. They're all pre-marked out, they've all been pre-tested. Little bit of upward pressure, making sure I have appropriate alignment. Ooh, that looks wonderful. All right, there we are. We're all glued and screwed and into place and our face frame's on. So, with various cutting techniques on the table saw and a few shims here and there, I got the drawer fronts fitting just beautiful. So I'm back working on the miter cabinet. I've had a brief hiatus off. My son came up to visit Connor. You've seen there in the previous thing, we made some other stuff. And I had a terrible backache for about a week, but I'm back at it now. I'm surviving. Thank you for your concern. I've come up with a unique drawer face. Now my drawer faces are all cut to size and all dimensions. They're all fitting perfectly well. And like I say, I don't like having handles stick out because I bang my knees on it and they collect dust and all those kinds of things. So I come up with this 45-degree bevel that I can just basically stick my fingers in and pull the drawer front out. Nothing protruding, nothing to catch dust. Both the bottom and the top are angled at 45 degrees. And not only that, I think it looks kind of cool myself. Here's how I did it. So I got my Forstner bit all set up on my brand new Nova Voyager drill press. I always wanted one of these brand new Nova Voyager drill presses, so I went out and bought me one. I'm full of crap. Here we go. Well, it's a haul. 1 down, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 more to go. So you want to talk about a tedious task? Cutting these sections in the drawer fronts took me almost 4 hours to do the 9 pieces. I broke 2 blades and had to monkey with several settings on the saw itself. They just aren't designed to cut 1-inch thick hardwoods like hickory. But I persevered and I got it done. I Admittedly, that whole scroll saw thing is a little tedious and a little finicky, but it does a really great job. It's kind of slow and we have a long time to do it. But I find that all I have to do is just take my little rigid sander with the little triangle thing on it and finish up the sanding, and it tidies it up quite nicely. Very simple. There you have it, Dan's unique handle design. I like it. Okay, I thought I'd show you the Dan method for putting the drawer fronts on here. So what I've got lined up, I've got inside the cabinet, I've got my holes already drilled. I've got a piece of string attached to one of the screws so that it makes it easier to pull the drawer open, because I used double-sided carpet tape on here, and if I just put it on with double-sided carpet tape, it's too hard to get the drawer open. So I just use a little string to attach it. I also have shims in place. I've already pre-aligned up everything, make sure everything fits well. Here we go. Put the bottom in place on the shims, and I line up the sides, and when everything looks good and I'm happy with the alignment, I squeeze it into place. And then I use the string, I put pressure on the drawer front because the tape doesn't really hold all that well. And I pop the drawer open like that, and I hold it in place, pull the shims out, handy dandy clamp. That should be it in place. Then I'll drive home just a couple of the screws on the diagonal, one on the left side, one on the right side, because I want to make sure that my alignment is good. And it gives me a chance or an opportunity to fix it if it's not. That's it. Looks wonderful. Gaps are great, gaps are even. I can open the drawer, drive home the rest of the screws. And that's it. There's my drawer fronts. I really like the way they turned out. I like the reverted inside handle. Man, that's great. I like it. I believe that the miter saw fence is the true indicator to make an assist with a square cut. That's why I didn't put a fence on my top. However, I'm putting in a T-track system so that I can put in a block which will give me the ability to create repeatable cuts. Good thing I didn't decide to do this all at once. This is going to take a while. Another cut. Six passes later, she be done. Hope it fits. It will. I sanded most of the cabinet to 150, the fronts and the sides. However, I gave the top a little bit of special attention and finished it to 220 grit. He's a good boy. You guys remember this guy? Like from a couple videos ago, like 2 months ago, he'd like fit in the palm of my hand. Now look at him. Come here. Come here. Look at this beast. Oh, what a dog. What a dog. Kisses. Good boy, bud. Okay, enough doggy time. We're going to put a coat of clear shellac on this thing. Again, my favorite finish, shellac. Dries fast, dries hard, is recoatable. Here we go. So we're going to put one coat on, and we're going to let that dry. And by the time I get to the other end, the front end is going to be dry, so I can put a second coat on. And then we're going to quickly hit it with 400 grit in between coats, or not in between coats, after the second coat, and put a thinned, oh poor puppy. We'll put a thinned coat on, thinned with methyl hydrate, about 100% or 1:1, and that'll give us a nice luster, a nice finish at the end of it. I'll carry on and show you the finished product. And here it is, the finished product. Man, am I happy. If you appreciate my time and effort, please subscribe. It means a lot. So Puppers has also learned how to climb into the she shed all on his own. Hello, Shamrock. But he hasn't figured out how to come back yet. I need a haircut. Holy. I got some good Donald Trump hair going on there today. Ah, Trump hair resolved.